Okay, today we're going to go over a couple of box lots that I got from a house clean out. Not quite sure what is in here. From the looking of it, it looks like a bunch of coaxial cables, but I could be surprised. I am going to scrap all this stuff that's in these boxes once I look at what it is and assess them. Because it came out from an empty house, I don't know whether these cords actually work. I don't have the time in my day to sit and plug each one of them into my TV and see if anything shows up. I also don't have a lot of the equipment that I would need to test the coaxial cables, along with, I believe there may be some audio cables in here as well. So I just don't know if the items work. I'm in the business of scrapping everything I can get my hands on, so these items will be scrapped out. Now, the thing with coaxial cables, you have to be careful. There are two types. Some of them have a steel with a copper plated inner core. That would probably go into your steel shred. In one of my yards, that's all I put it in, a steel shred. They don't even put it in that for special coaxial. Another version has a solid copper core, and that's the one you want. That's the one you want to keep. So we're going to go through and test these. The ends are going to be brass, so I'm going to clip those off and clean them up. I have a container of various types of brass that I have collected over the months that I've been doing this, and so I'm just going to put them in this container, and when that container gets to be a certain height, then I'll probably do a video on breaking some of those pieces down to see how much we can get, or what types of brass they are. Some of them are dirty brass, which I won't be able to break down. Some of them are clean brass, like car keys and or prongs from a plug. So depending on what they are, I'll break that down a little later. So best thing to do with a coaxial cable is to stick a magnet to it, and if it attracts, or if you feel a slight pull, I'm trying to make it so that gravity isn't working with me here, or against me I should say. This has a slight pull in it, so I'm probably going to chunk it in with the steel. I can feel it pulling ever so slightly. So let's go ahead and get these caps cut off. Sometimes you can cut them, sometimes they'll pull out. I saw a video I was watching the other day where you just cut it basically and then you just pull and it pulls right on out. That didn't pull out for me, so I'm just gonna do this quick and dirty and get these in the pot, and I'll take care of the cleanup later. What you can do, each one has that center piece in there. Your snips can get in there and grab a hold of it. Sometimes mine can, sometimes it can't. I like having a toolbox nearby where you can't find anything. I'm looking for the needle nose pliers. Getting aggravated. Okay. Got a hold of it, and you can pull it out. Alright, so now you have the center cable. I can see it shiny on this end, so chances are this is going to be steel. And there it is. I dropped the magnet, just proof, and there it sits. So it's a slight pull, but it's still a pull. therefore it's steel. Therefore, this entire cordage is going to go into my steel recycling bin. So I'll just cut these caps off and then put this cordage into my steel recycling area. That is a strong pull. You can see that one. Even these ends are pulling, which is not good. I'm going to cut the ends off, this one end off, and try to get that center core out. And if that center core looks like, I'm going to test both the center core again and the outer shell, just to make sure that the outer shell, yep, that's pure T steel. So I don't want that in my brass bucket. Don't want that anywhere else but in my steel bucket. In which case, here was the piece of the center core that I got out. And this is also sticking to the magnet. So that this entire piece here is nothing but steel, so don't want it. It goes into my steel bucket. We move on to the next. These look yellowish. Could be brass, could be gold plated. Don't know. Won't know until I take it apart. I'm not having a good day holding that magnet today, am I? The whole bottom there just pulled. You can see the pull on it. So all these are going to be steel. This, however, is not pulling. So I'm hoping these are brass. My snips aren't wide enough to get around the edge, so I'm just going to cut the tops off. I'm going to test the inner core just to be sure. That goes in there. And that sticks. So that's steel. This sticks. I'm not going to try to break it down. It's just going to go into my steel bucket. Here's another set, a different set. Again, it has a yellow tint to it. Could be gold plated. Could be brass. This end is not magnetic, so that's probably brass. It's also a connector piece. You can screw it and extend your cable further on. The base is pulling, so again, I'm going to cut off the leads. I'm going to inspect the center core. Okay, got it out. It's stuck to the magnet, which means cable again sticks to the magnet. Cable goes in my pile for steel. That center core goes in the pile for steel. These two go in my bucket for brass. These are similar ones. I'm probably not going to be testing every single one because the name of today's game is speed, and I am scrapping all of this. So I don't care if it works. I don't want it. I don't want to test it. I don't have the time for eBay. Most cases, most days, I really don't. So I'm just in for the scrap value, and look at there. Sticks to it completely. So this entire process is steel. Goes in my steel bucket. It's always good to have buckets laying around, buckets, boxes, whatever you can to put items into. Now these are different. They have a casing of plastic around the outside of them. You can see on the inside the shininess of the metal pieces. I'm not sure what these are going to be on the inside, so again, still going through the process of nipping off the heads, pulling out the core. If it'll come out. Sometimes you have to get in there with your snips and hang on to it tight enough to grit it, but not so tight that you cut it. And just using a prying motion to pull it up until you can get it out a whole lot better. And I cut it. Not wanting to come out very well. I'm gonna probably put this to the side, look at it later. Can't get it with my long nose pliers very well. It is not sticking to the magnet at all. The cord didn't even stick. And I'm not feeling a single pull on the magnet. So this may actually be copper. I'm gonna sit the wire to the side and we'll look at it later. These are audio ends. Stick it in your audio and your S video and your audio and your other video. That's where you stick these into your machine, and then this end goes it's either an extension of it or whatnot. This is not sticking at all, so I'm going to put it in my copper bin. Going to take off the heads because they're brass. Got two types of copper bins that I deal with. One type is solid copper, to where I will strip the wire and get the copper in or out. The other type is like telephone copper. It's so thin and so tiny, and I just don't want to deal with it, and so that goes into the insulated copper wire, which is a lower price at the yard than straight copper wire, but it's not worth my time to try to separate hair thin pieces of wire. So this is another coaxial cable. Not magnetic. The wire, however, is magnetic. I feel a pull. This one comes with a coaxial two-way splitter. Two cables go in, or actually the cable from the outside world comes out and splits off the two individual devices. This is not magnetic. I have yet to determine what metal this box actually is. I have several of them, and once I find out, I'll let you know, or if you know, tell me. They go in my little box over there. I'm going to cut off the head. I'm going to take out the core. We're going to test the head and the core. The core definitely picks up right there. The head does not move. The head does not pick up. This is brass. Hallelujah. Brass definitely sells more by weight, by pound, than steel does. So whenever I can find brass, that's good news. The wire, however, does stick, so it will go into my wire for metal. Another one of those inner ones that I had earlier, and when I tested it, the wire did not attract to the magnet. So we're going to go off the assumption that it actually is not steel on the inside. I do not feel a pull, so again I'm going to use this as possible stripping to see if I can get some copper wire out of it. Not sticking to the magnet or the ends. Can't get a good feel for the wire, so I'll cut the ends off. Take out the core. Maybe. This one's a little tight inside. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a seam on these, so I'm just gonna pull these to the side so I can get to the core a little better. So I flanged it out. Got a hold of the core. Doesn't want to come out. I am not feeling any pull, so I'm going to put that in with my copper. We'll check it out at a later date. Here's an interesting piece. This is a Monster Video 2. Does not appear to be opened or have been opened. I don't want to force it open because if it has not been opened yet, then I could sell this on eBay or at a yard sale. It looks like it's still in its original windings in the packaging. I'm not seeing any twist ties, however, so this might actually be someone who kept the original packaging and put it back in for safekeeping. I can slip my finger in there. The plastic does appear to be separated. It's very possible that this has already been used and put back in here. But I'm gonna leave it in here for now. And I'm gonna push forward and see what else we have in this goodie box. Not sure what this device is. It looks like it has a end that would go on a VGA monitor, but this is an infrared end, so I'm not quite sure what this device is. There's no markings on it. There's no wording that could tell me what it would be used for. I'm inclined to just take it apart, clip the heads off, take the screws out, open it up, get the circuit board out, and continue to shred. I'm not in the business of actually researching historical things like this. Also don't know if it still works or not. So to me, I just want to take it apart. Now these endings are not they're not brass. They're definitely stick to a magnet. But these also don't go into my they don't go into my steel recycling box. These will go into another container like this one, and they will go to a company called Board Sort, who buys heads like this by the pound for X amount of dollars. You can look them up online. Board, like a piece of wood, BORAD, sort, SORT. Just type those two words into Google and you'll come up to boardsort.com, and you can read all about the prices they pay for the different various items that they take. So this will go into that container. This end will go into my box that I'm going to use to take things apart. Again, it's got 4 Phillips screws right here. You can't see them, they're very small, and I'm sure there's a circuit board in there that I can recycle. This is a copper wire inside, does not stick. Don't believe I have any wire strippers at the moment to show, but I think this is going to be one of those that I don't want to take apart or try to strip, because I don't think it has a solid, I don't think there's a solid copper core in there. I think it's several small pieces of copper, but we'll put that in that pile. Come back to it later. More brass, I believe. These are, looks like also pieces that go into an audio device. That feels like brass. There's brass there. There's some kind of steel in there because it is attracting to the magnet. But I want to crack that open and see what's inside. And here's the other end of it. Also brass. So I'll clip these ends off. What I'll end up doing is putting these into probably a vise type contraption to clean the pieces off as much as possible. If I can't get them cleaned off, then I'll throw them into my dirty brass and call it a day. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to clean up something that may or may not clean up very well, and so it'll just wind up going into my dirty brass. Test the wire. It does not appear to be magnetic. Going to take out, can't take out, these are in there. It does look up here as if I can crack that apart. I'm going to do that at a later date. Today was mainly supposed to be a day of testing wires and splitting off items that I can split off. So that's what I'm doing. All right. Here we have a device that looks like it goes for a TV. You have all your plug-ins for the TV. A nice copper wire with brass endings. Again, does it work? It could. I don't want to try to resell it. I want to take it apart and see what's in it. So that's what I'm doing. So I'll put that in the take apart area. This is copper wire. I'll put this in my copper area. Now this copper wire is probably the better of all the ones I have listed so far. I can actually see 2 copper endings in there. I'll end up splitting this down the middle. It's got 2 sides to it, white side and a black side, positive and ground. Sort of see a little bit. There's the white wire. Black wire's over here. I'll separate that out later. Coming down further into the box, we have more of these splitters. Goes into my splitter area. Now here, this is a little different than the first box I saw because I can feel it's already been opened. So the individual kept the boxes that these came in, used the cables, and then when they realized they either didn't work anymore or they wanted to get rid of it, they put them back in the boxes to put them in this lot box to get rid of. So I am going to open this up, hopefully without cutting myself on the plastic. Nice little instruction book. Trash. Out comes the cables. Plastic goes into plastic trash. These are nice and shiny, look like gold endings with a splitter. They do not stick. The wiring does not stick. Cutting the endings off. Inspecting the ends. I'll look at that later. Here's another one, very similar. Also, box has been opened. Taking out the insides. Also instructions in there. Outside of the box it says Y adapter cable, 1 male, 2 females. Performance series, gold plated RCA connectors. So these are gold plated. I have a buyer that buys items for me that are gold plated, so I'm gonna keep that one. Send him a photo of what I've got and see if he wants the cable endings to purchase so that we can make some money that way too. So all that comes off. As a once famous scrapper that I used to watch, he doesn't do videos anymore. His video handle was Moose Scrapper. Moose like the animal. M-O-O-S-E, Scrapper. S-C-A-S-C-R-A-P-P-E-R, Moose Scrapper. He was up in Maine, I believe. And he stopped sending videos about a year ago, but he always said, he says at every beginning of his video, that scrap prices are the lowest prices for anything that you do. So if I can sell this because it still looks like it's in the original container, the container does not look damaged at all. Take that back. The container does look damaged. It's got perforated edges right here. And this back panel has been popped off of this panel here. So this has been opened and restocked. So I will be taking that out. But if you can sell it for what it's, as is and not have to scrap it, then sell it. Now, these items here came from Radio Shack. there may be some Radio Shack lovers out there. Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore. I might put this on eBay just as is and say, old Radio Shack splitter for Radio Shack collectors. And someone may buy it. That one actually said Radio Shack on it, so that would be a plus. Now we've just established that this box has been already opened and just resealed because of the back plane. Yeah, look at that. It just comes open now. So all this comes out and this goes into trash. Looking at the ends. Does not say it's gold plated anywhere. So I'll cut the ends off. A lot of cabling. Hopefully it doesn't stick to the magnet. It's a video cable, not a coaxial, but I don't feel a pull. There's no pull on here. The ends do look goldish, so it may actually be gold plated. Ends are coming off. Looking in at it, I see a copper core and another copper core. I'll have to get some kind of wire stripper for this one. It's got a very thick outer black core on it, black sheath on it, and then there's two inner cores, a white one and a black one, and they're both copper. And it looks like a good bit of copper in there. So this will get put into my copper bin for scrapping at a later date. And we continue with the box. Now I saw this earlier and I thought, man, somebody put a hanger in here. And it feels like a hanger. But in closer inspection, let's see if it sticks to a magnet. It does not stick to a magnet. I'm not really sure what this is, but from that yellow shine right there, or should I say orangish red shine, that, my friends, is copper. That's a nice string of copper right there. So this whole thing is copper. Here's a box that I have no idea what it is. Looks like possible gold endings here. Those holes there are not screw holes because they go straight through the top. It says Radio Shack on it. It says A and B, so it's probably an A-B switch. You push the B, you push the A, and the different side goes to different ways. It's got Radio Shack TV A-B switch. So it's a TV switch. I'll probably have to crack into it on the seam and get inside. So here's A, here's B, and that goes to the TV. Very heavy device. Cabling looks and appears to still be in the packaging. Digital audio, these will be brass ends. The packaging is not open. I may hang on to that and try to sell it somewhere else. Two endings that may or may not be gold. They are brass. I'll take those heads off. Possible for a headset in the olden days. Earphones, if you will. The copper wire in here is very small. This will go to my insulated wire. Another packaged piece, not open, still sealed. This is a USB connector on this end and a telco connector on this end, probably Cat 5-ish. but I will have to hang on to that, look up those numbers and see what it is. This is another coaxial cable. Appearance is gold plated. Did not stick to the magnet. Cutting off the ends. Checking the wire. The wire did pull. Still pulls. So that goes into my steel hole. And what do we have left? Looks like we have nice copper. Look at that. What a shine. That'd be #1 copper. With its thickness, that's #1 copper right there. So all these will get stripped down into being #1 copper. Some ends. Connector ends. Brass. An old telco box, telephone box. Probably gonna be brass in there. Nope, pure T steel. So those screws will come out and go in my steel container. The little itty bitty wires will go into that insulated wire container. This is another coaxial connector. Does not stick to magnet. That screw does, so I have to take that screw out. Here it looks to be a screw. Yep, magnet. So it goes into my steel box. Another connector piece. Does not stick. Goes in there. Looks like steel. There's steel in there, so I'll take that out of that screw out of that box and put it in steel. This is a coaxial spike protector. So this plugs into your outlet. That's the ground. These two are plastic. They do nothing. These go to the equipment you want to hook up to your cable box. So these are not steel. That's not steel. This is all brass. That'll get broken down. This is another Y splitter. Goes in that way. Those two plug in there. It's a male and a female Y splitter. That'll all go into brass. If I can't get that separated, it'll go into dirty brass. Another screw, so that goes into the steel box. And it looks to be like this lock box is empty. I think I saw another screw. Yep, that goes in there. All right, and that'll wrap up the first lockbox review. I will put up the second lockbox review shortly.